For the Jews, the tree in the center of the Garden of Eden was the tree of life. This tree held the very presence of God's wisdom. It was, if you will, a sacrament. It was a physical sign of the immediate presence of the wisdom of God. In the book of Revelation, we find the tree of life is the fulfillment of redemption. So between the tree of life in paradise and the tree of life in heaven, the early Christians beheld a tree of life on which the fate of the race of Adam was decided. For them, the tree of life was the cross. The cross rises from Golgotha to heaven, and it embraces all of creation. For Christians of the early church, the cross was seen to be the center of the world and of the drama of human salvation. There is an early Christian poem from the 3rd century, and it begins with these words: "There is a spot that we believe is the whole world's midpoint. The Jews in their mother tongue call it Golgotha." The cross is also a sign of contradiction. In the beginning of the Gospel of Luke, as Jesus is presented in the temple, the prophet Simeon speaks and says, "This child is set for the fall and the rise of many in Israel." He is a sign of contradiction. A check means yes, a cross means no. The cross is a reminder that following the gospel will demand of us that we say no to oppose the forces of darkness so often manifest in the government of nations and at every level where power is exercised. Injustice, unfairness, corruption, these are so endemic that they pass almost without comment. As Christians, we're given the unpopular mission of contributing to a more just and a more fair society. And you and I know that we do this very often by saying no. This is the distinctiveness that marks those who live by the gospel, who live by the cross. Remember, the cross is folly and scandal to many. It is the only way by which a more humane society will be brought to birth. When we speak of the cross, we're referring not to an everyday mishap, but the rejection and the persecution that will follow any attempt to live according to the standard Jesus set. It may take the less dramatic form of prejudice and discrimination, or media campaigns that highlight every failure of the believer. We would make a serious mistake if we were to assume that today in our own country, in our own place, there is no hostility toward the cross. To be a Christian means to be proactive in the defense of goodness and truth and life, and not to be wearied by the opposition this encounters. We are Christian. We are people of the cross. A 3rd century teacher wrote, "The cross is the fixed pivot of the universe, the fulcrum of all things, the foundation of the world, the cardinal point of the universe. It binds together all the multiplicity of human nature. It is held together by invisible nails of the Spirit in order to retain its bond with God. It touches the highest summits of heaven. With its feet holds fast the earth. And the cross encompasses the vast middle atmosphere in between with its immeasurable arms. Today we celebrate the saving grace of the cross. In John's Gospel, Jesus is the King who reigns from a throne upon the cross. So today, when we come to venerate the cross here in church or at home, may we remember what it is. The cross is the sacrament of the wisdom and the salvation God won by the death and resurrection of Jesus, his Son.